Do you have an older pet? So my sweet dog is now 16 years old almost. He turned 16 September the 24th. And I have to say, last year was quite challenging. He lost an eye due to glaucoma, which was unbelievable, very stressful. Plus, I was coming off of recovering from my own hip replacement. So last year was unbelievable. But I'm facing, as I'm sure some of you have faced, or you are potentially in the future going to face, dealing with an aging, loving pet. And so this is MC of Healthy by George. Let's talk about it. What does it do? I'm telling you from where I'm standing, the stress is not, it's not small, frankly. Having a pet that you've loved for the past 16 years and who's loved you unconditionally through some rough times is really very stressful. So I'm MC of Healthy by George. I come each week to talk about longevity and healthy living and ways to manage our lives so that we have the very best version of who we are into our 80s and 90s. And pets play a big role. So please join me in this conversation. Do you have a pet at home? Do you have issues that you dealt with in the past when you lost a pet? You're also struggling, like I am right now, with the fear of losing my pet. This is not uncommon. It's what many of us pet owners have to face. Please subscribe and join me in this conversation as I talk about my dear, sweet Mr. Pete, who is one of a kind. I'll share some pictures of him as we talk about it, but it has been not simple for the past several weeks. So what is the problem? He only has one eye now. And so the goal has been for the past year is to preserve and give him the best eye health as possible as he gets older. Suddenly, like 2.5 weeks ago, poor little fellow was whimpering when I put in his glaucoma drops. And I'm like, that's unusual. So I rushed to the vet the next day. Sure enough, he has this superficial infection on his cornea. She gave me antibiotics and pain medicines. And frankly, then I went to the eye vet the next day to see what options are. And guess what? Glaucoma is well controlled. Hallelujah. So we're not losing vision. But he has a lot of pain because he's got this abrasion on his cornea. And it's a little ulcer and it's infected. And so if it doesn't heal, what the vet said, we have to do a procedure called a debridement. So the stress has been high, frankly. I'm worried because I'm walking my little dog here in New York and people stop me because he is super cute. He's super friendly. And God bless him. He has the one eye. And so we go very slow. And so people stop and they talk to me about their pets and their little ones and how long they lived and how long they had them. I must have been stopped in the past several weeks by 4 or 5 people, all telling me about how their dog lasted till they were 17 or 18, or they lost their dog at 15 years old. I tell you something, the idea of losing my sweet little pet anytime soon is super not cool. I really, truly want to keep him comfortable and happy and in good health as long as we possibly can. But I have to tell you, this preserving the eye, I was really worried that he's going to be blind. But I feel hopeful that his vision will be fine. I think it's the matter of making him have less pain. So we're going to go tomorrow and do this debridement thing, which is something where they take some kind of tool and clean up the area so that it'll heal better. I don't really understand all this stuff, but I feel great about the vet that I'm going to. He's a wonderful eye vet, and that's all they do. And he did an amazing job with his surgery last year, but that was painful. Not only was it painful recovery, it was a $7,000 surgery here in New York. So I'm hopeful that tomorrow is not going to be about $7,000. But I want my dog to be out of pain. I can tell that his eye is still bothering him and he is still having pain. So I want to make him feel more comfortable and happier. And frankly, he has. I can see how he's coming back to himself. He's more playful. He's happier. He's begging for his treats. He's turning his nose up to his dog food. He's being his regular self, which is give me treats. I want treats. Forget that damn dog food. I think that I have to recognize that it's an unknown about how our dogs will continue to age, but we have to recognize that these dogs, they only live till they're 16 or 17 or 18 years of age. I'll be lucky if he has another good year or two. That's my prayer. But I have to say, over the past 2 weeks, the stress has been there. And it's just brought up a lot of feelings about loss. The days that I got him were to help my husband, who was suffering with multiple sclerosis, and he needed a friend at home. And that was Mr. Pete. And we got him through a dear friend of mine who knew I was looking for a dog and brought me this precious little dog who was just a little under a year. So we've had him. I had him for the first 6 years with Angel while he lived, and it was a blessing. It gave Angel something to think about and care for that was so amazing for him during his multiple sclerosis. And it gave me a wonderful, loving pet that loved me during my recovery from my husband's passing and to deal with all the griefs and to the 3 years that it took to get to a place where I felt a little more normal. And now with my partner, Lewis, we both are so attached to Petey. I think that it'll kill us both if suddenly we lose him. So we're both working hard to keep Petey as happy and healthy, but it has brought up a whole bunch of feelings about loss and grieving and stress and anxiety. And I haven't been able to think about anything because the truth is, I have to give Petey drops 3 times a day. I have to make sure he takes his darn blood pressure medicine because that's the other thing that happened. We found that his blood pressure spiked, and so we want to keep that under control because it contributes to the pressure in his eye. It's just, I have to tell you, I love, love, love my dog so much. And I get so much love from him that is so important that it is very difficult to see him not be like his normal self. And I think this is just part of life that we have to embrace and find ways to cope. So I've been doing more meditation than I've ever done in my life because it's definitely there, the stress of loss and knowing that's possible. And you can't ever guess what's going to happen. And also, too, it's dogs can't tell you when they're not happy or when they're uncomfortable or they're in too much pain or that life isn't enjoyable. And I think that's the challenge. How do I balance? I'm not there yet. Grateful that's not the case. But the worry is if he does lose the sight in that eye, would he be still happy as a blind dog? I don't know. I did read up on that to see there's training that can be done and there's ways to evaluate how his quality of life continues if he were to lose the vision in that eye. It's very stressful. And I know too now he finds it very difficult to get up he likes to jump onto this bench and then jump onto the bed. But now he barks at me to say, please put me on the bed, which I think is wonderful. I tried getting stairs. He refused to try them out. I think it's the fact that they were squishy, the kind of texture they were. I'm going to try some hard, sturdy stairs to see if that is a better choice for him so he has a little more independence. But you know what? If I have to just get up in the middle of the night when he barks at me to put him on the bed, I'm just going to do it because that's what you do when you really love something that gives you so much love in return. And it's just unconditional, right? Our pets give us this amazing, unconditional love like you never experienced. And they can't really tell you a thing if something's not feeling good. So I'm working hard to just make sure he's comfortable, give him his medicine, figure out treats that when he rejects one treat, then try another so I can give him his pills. He is so clever when I'm putting pills in little treats. He's, oh, I know there's a pill in that. I'm not taking it. Dogs are just, or cats too, all animals are so wise sometimes to the fact that we need to, for them to do something that they don't want to do. So, if you have ever gone through the stress of managing a pet as it's getting older, I would love to hear what you did, how you were able to deal with the situation, things that you did to cope. For me, like we said, I'm doing meditation. I'm having to be a little more mindful of being away from him. I won't leave him for very long. I've got a babysitter that comes in on the 2 days I go into my office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I was supposed to go for some vacation and some fun times on the weekends here in July, and I've canceled them all because I really don't want this sweet dog of mine, Mr. Pete, to be home alone or staying at the babysitter's. I just feel that I'm the only person who can really help him feel like he can get his needs met while he's recovering from this debridement or whatever is going to happen with this procedure. So we have to recognize that loss is a part of life, whether it is the loss of a loved one, like my husband who passed away 10 years ago, or family members who've passed away in the past. I know this was Father's Day in June, and I was thinking of my beautiful father who passed away several years ago as well. And some of the family members that have passed away, my Aunt Mary Helen, my Uncle Gabriel, my Uncle Joe, and Aunt Leona, who passed away this fall, and so many others that are Aunt Marie, Aunt Jeanette, just so many people. As you get older, this becomes the dynamic is lost. And how do we manage that? For me, it's recognizing that loss is a part of living. Everything passes away and transforms. And that's okay. I think that it's about grieving that loss. It's about recognizing that there's a transformation and that energy never disappears. Whatever your beliefs are, mine are very much the belief that we'll go to a place that is what we call heaven. What that is, I'm not sure. I had a little experience when I was coming out of anesthesia once that felt a little, so I feel hopeful because, man, I have such a clear memory of what that was. I felt like I was in the most beautiful, lovely, amazing space I have ever experienced in my life. It was absolutely exquisite. And the only thing I can remember is that I felt like all of my relatives who had passed were there. I could feel their presence. It was really unusual. That's all I can remember is that it was so unusual. And it made me feel like, yes, there is a place that we call heaven, and it's going to be exquisite and it's going to be filled with all these people that love you and you love them. So I think that's exciting. But it still makes this transition, this idea of transition and transformation, it's scary because guess what? No one has told us what it's like. No one's come back from the dead and said, hey, this is what the transition is like. Although some people feel like they have that gift that I don't. But that was definitely my one experience or two experiences really when I came out of anesthesia and my eyes weren't open, but I saw this exquisite place. It's beyond words what I can't describe it. That's all I can say. It was just this amazingly beautiful place. And it had this feeling of such a depth of love. So whatever that was, I'm going to call it my experience of having a heaven experience coming out of anesthesia. Okay. And for people who don't believe in that, I'm sorry for you, but I felt very comforting for me. So if you have anything that you're dealing with, a loss of a loved one, or caring for an aging pet like I am, it's not simple because you do feel a little isolated. You have to feel clever about what you're willing to pay and how to manage those finances. And I've been putting away money in a little pet fund so that I can pay for the medicines every month and now whatever this procedure is going to be. So recognize that there are so many things that make up the fabric of our lives. And pets, whether they're cats, dogs, some people have little teeny cows or small little goats, or I saw this one dog that was he's this little, he only has two hind legs. I think he's just precious. I think his name is Noel. And I just have fallen in love with looking at these videos of this little precious dog. He's just amazing with his two hind legs. They're just exquisite. Having animals as part of our life, even though going through this transition is difficult and it makes you stressed out and work with ways of coping, the value of how much Petey has given me and has enriched my life, I would not exchange it for anything, right? So be well, my friends. We have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest into our 80s and 90s. And please subscribe or tell me how you've coped with your animals as they've become sick or passed. I would love to hear your ideas and your ways of coping. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.